Hey guys, and welcome to this video. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to get the look that I'm wearing right now, which is kind of a fun like Valentine's or date night or girls night out look using a lot of pinky tones. So as usual, I'll be using only drugstore products in this video, including the new e.l.f. Mad for Matte 2 palette, which I love. So if you want to see how I got this look, then just keep on watching. Alright, so I am going to start out by priming my face, and I'm using the Wet n Wild Primer Based Tint, if I'm saying that right, and I'm focusing that mainly in my T-zone. And then moving on to foundation, I'm using the Better Skin Super Stay Foundation in the shade 30, which is Warm Nude. And I'm using the L'Oreal foundation sponge that I reviewed for you guys. I have been loving this sponge. I don't know how many times I've said that, but I really like this sponge. And I know it all of a sudden looks like the foundation is orange, but that's because the lighting changed. The sun started to go down, but I'll fix that in just a few minutes. But I decided to go in with a second layer just because it's that time of the month and I'm dealing with some breakouts and I wanted to have a nice perfect base to start with. And now I'm going to skip the concealer and just move on to brows. And I'm using my tried and true e.l.f. Lock-On Liner and Brow Cream in the shade Medium Brown with this angled e.l.f. brush. And I'm just outlining the shape of my brow on the top and then on the bottom. And I like my brows nice and thick, as you can tell. But I just outline the shape that I want and then I go ahead and start filling it in. And then toward the inner corner of my eye, I just use whatever is left over on my brush and brush in upward motions because that's the way my hair grows in the inner corner of my brow. So now moving on to eyes, we're going to come back and conceal the under eyes later, but I'm using the concealer we're going to use in this look, which is the Milani Retouch and Erase Light Lifting Concealer in the shade Light, and I'm using that as a base for the eyeshadow. And now taking the lightest shade in the e.l.f. Mad for Matte 2 palette, I'm going to apply that with a Real Techniques eyeshadow brush all over where we just concealed to set the concealer. And this will just make sure everything stays in place and we don't have any creasing throughout the night or day or whenever you're wearing this look. And now I'm going to take the next lightest shade, which is just a very neutral, kind of comparable to the Naked shade in the Naked 1 palette, on a Wet n Wild crease brush. I'm just going to work that through the crease and begin defining the eye. And now I'm going to take the light pink shade and this will just start creating the pinky effect that we're going for here. And again, I'm going to be using that same Wet n Wild crease brush to work that into the crease. And I'm using a combination of circular motions with windshield wiper motions to blend that out through the crease. And be sure to build it up slowly so you can dip back in as many times as you want to get the intensity you want, but it's always good to build it slowly so that it's nice and blended. Now I'm taking the darker shade, the darker pink in the palette, and I'm going to use that on a smaller, more precise brush. This is that Real Techniques eyeshadow brush. And with smaller circular motions, I'm just going to work that into the crease, focusing on the outer corner. So what's important about applying this eyeshadow is that when you dip the brush into the eyeshadow pan, you should immediately be placing it on the outer corner of your eye and then working it in toward the inner corner. And that will just ensure that the most product is deposited on the outer corner and then whatever's left over is worked into the rest of the crease, just to keep the intensity on the outer corner to give that smoky effect. Now moving on to one of my very favorite eyeshadows of all time, I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible in Amber Rush. And this is just a gorgeous pink with like gold shimmer running through it. And I'm just applying that with my finger because I find that you get the most intensity when you apply it with your fingers. And now going back in with that eyeshadow brush and that dark pink eyeshadow, I'm just making sure that we didn't lose any of that intensity and blending everything out. And now I'm taking that same Milani concealer and applying it underneath my eyes where I've got some dark circles and then around my nose where I get some redness. And I'm just blending that in with that same foundation sponge we used earlier, the L'Oreal foundation sponge. And not only will this conceal where we want to conceal, but it also creates a sharp line for the eyeshadow. So you can see it kind of creates a wing for us and we didn't really have to do anything. So it just sharpens that line and definition and creates a lifted look for the eyeshadow. And then I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side, buffing it in with bouncing motions. And then I'm just going to apply a little bit to my chin and between my eyebrows, and that'll just make sure that the whole inner part of the face is nice and highlighted and bright. And now to set everything, I'm going to be using that new CoverGirl Outlast matte finishing powder on an e.l.f. blush brush. And I'm going to set everywhere we did concealing, and then because I'm oily, I go ahead and set the rest of my face because we haven't yet set the foundation, and this will just keep everything in place and keep us from getting oily throughout the night. And now I'm just taking this Physicians Formula contour palette, and I'm going to mix those two darker shades, and I'm applying it with the e.l.f. mineral powder brush. This is my favorite brush for contouring. And then I'm going to take it up through my temples and along my hairline, and then circle right back around on the other side, taking it through my hairline down to my temple, and then contour the other side as well. I just feel like this brush does a really nice job of blending while not depositing too much product. And now I'm taking this Rimmel bronzer and a Wet n Wild powder brush and just blending everything out. And this just helps diffuse any harsh lines that the contour might have created, and also warms up the skin. And now I'm taking this NYX blush in the shade Pinched on my cheeks just to add a little bit of life back in there. And I'm doing this with an e.l.f. I believe this is the Airbrush Stipple brush, but everything will be in the description box as always. And I'm just applying that onto my cheekbones and then blending it out. And now taking the e.l.f. Illuminating Palette, I'm taking that kind of baby pink shade and running that along my cheekbones, the high points of my face. And then I'm going to take that eyeshadow brush we used earlier by Real Techniques and highlight the inner corner of my eye using that same kind of baby pink highlighting shade that we used on the cheekbones. And then using the lighter shade, which is more of like a white champagne shade, I'm using that to highlight my brow bone. And now moving on to liner, I'm using the liner I talked about in my favorites video. It's the Milani Stay Put Matte 17 Hour Wear Liner. I love this stuff. And I'm just kind of mapping out the shape that I want. I decided I wanted to do a wing because I always want to do a wing, but feel free to completely skip eyeliner if you want, or keep your wing a little bit less intense than mine was. Just do whatever you feel most comfortable with, but I decided to do a medium intensity wing, and I really liked the way that it complemented the eye look. And now using the Rimmel Volume Accelerator mascara, I'm just going to do a light coat of mascara, and then I decided to go ahead and set my brows. I'm using the Maybelline Brow Drama in the shade Deep Brown, and this just keeps your brows in place and also adds a little bit extra tint. And now moving on to lashes, I'm really excited about it. I decided to go with the Ardell Demi Wispies, a classic favorite, and I'm applying with the Ardell glue. It's the pink one, the one that dries black, because we have the black eyeliner there anyway. And I just place it down in the center of my lash line, and then using a pair of tweezers, I put the inner corner and the outer corner exactly where I want them, and just make sure everything looks right. And then I'm going to go in with a smaller brush. This is the e.l.f. Smudge Brush. And I'm going to take the darker pink shade and smudge out my lower lash line, keeping it somewhat close to the lash line. And this will just create some definition down there. And now I'm going to use that lighter pink shade on a slightly fluffier brush, again that Real Techniques brush, and buff it out and blend it out so there's no harsh lines. And now I'm taking this e.l.f. liner in the shade Brightening Nude and putting that in my waterline just to open up the eyes even more. And then no surprises here, I am using my favorite bottom lash mascara, which is the Falsies Angel Push Up. And now moving on to lips, I decided to keep them pretty neutral, as you guys could see in the beginning of the video. So I'm lining them with the NYX retractable pencil in the shade Nude. And then I'm going to go in with this liquid lipstick by Jordana. It's their Sweet Cream Matte Lipstick. And this is the shade Buttercream Frosting. It's a nice, really light pink that complemented this look really well, I thought. But these do dry super, super matte. If you have dry lips, I wouldn't highly recommend them, but they do last a really long time. I decided it was a little bit too matte for me, so I went over it with the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Fortune Cookie, which is also kind of a light pink shade, so they went really well together actually. And that is it, and this is the finished look. So that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you recreate this look. Just tag me on Instagram or Twitter or wherever. I'd love to see it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.